Well, hello there. This is me again, Hard Disk Lover, and we are going to have a look today at my Amiga 4000. Yep, I got this recently, some months ago, and it is one of the machines in the absolute best conditions I've ever seen. A lot of these machines tend to have problems with the battery, but let's have a look. There is no battery, and there is also no battery damage. The previous owner has removed the battery at the right time, and that's also why the board is in almost perfect condition. Now another thing, since this is an Amiga 4000, similar to the 1200, this machine uses SMD capacitors, which they have got one issue. Similar to the 500 Plus, where you have the battery leakage, on these two machines, the 4000 and the 1200, those capacitors can leak and will also destroy the board. Well, the battery leakage will also happen in here if you don't remove the battery at the right time, so yeah. But let's have a look. Here in the back we have all the circuits for the audio output, the audio filter and everything. But what's that? Those are ceramic capacitors, except for that electrolytic one, which is also a new capacitor. Seems like someone has been taking really great care of this machine, removed all the capacitors at the right time, and installed new ceramic capacitors. And that is over the whole entire board. Same counts down here for the battery. The other side of the board, which currently is a bit messy because I still haven't managed to clean that up, and the hard drive I had in here, which was this one. Well, I had some issues with that. First of all, well, there's not a lot of storage on here. This thing has got just 280 megabytes, and it's slow and incredibly loud. So yeah, this is a really, really old hard drive. You can also see that by the amount of circuitry on the back. So what I did, like what many users do when they want to replace the hard drive in their old computers, is, well, they just take a compact flash to IDE adapter with a 2.5 inch HDD adapter, so that it fits on a normal IDE cable and can be used in this machine. And we have a whopping 4000 megabytes. Well, 4 gigabytes actually. Yay. So what I have done, I have a 1 gigabyte partition for the operating system, a 1.5 gigabyte partition for, so a little bit more than that, for games and stuff, and another 1.5 or even more, it's about 1.7 or so, partition on there for all the other stuff. Because when I had, first of all, I just wanted to make two partitions, one 1 gigabyte partition and one 3 gigabyte partition. The Amiga didn't like that, and it just wouldn't show the other partition on there, so I had to do 3 partitions in total. And to anyone, I recommend not making partitions bigger than 2 gigabytes, or otherwise there will be some issues. And also, well, I would highly recommend that this would be the maximum storage for one of these machines, 4 gigabytes. I mean, it is possible to put an 8 gigabyte compact flash card in there, but you're gonna have a lot of issues and also a lot of partitions. So, well, yeah. Down there we have the processor board with a whopping 25 megahertz, since this is just the 030 model. What I would love to do is expand this whole thing to an 050 or an 060 and try to install about 1 gigabyte of RAM into this whole thing, because that would be about the maximum amount of RAM this thing accepts. You can use the Thor 30 parts for that, because there are some boards that will give the Amiga half a gigabyte of RAM, and that is pretty amazing for a computer this old. So sad that Commodore went bankrupt after they released this thing. Well, there is another Amiga 4000, that is the tower model. This is the D version, which is the desktop machine. Normally you would have the case on. I have the case, it's down there. Just haven't bothered to put it back on since I'm still working on this machine. And you would just put your CRT screen or whatever on top of the case, and that's it. And this is a really, really rugged machine, and well, you can try to wiggle something and it's not gonna move at all. This is very, very high build quality. Yay. And what I have here, it's 2 megabytes of chip RAM and a 7 megabytes. These two chips, just regular RAM. The chip RAM is always the last one of these. So I would highly recommend always to get a revision B motherboard, because well, early revisions, well, they had some issues, and well, so from what I've heard, there are some minor upgradable limitations, and that isn't that nice. And the later revisions, well, they don't have the processor card anymore, and that means you cannot upgrade the machine. Because, well, what I would love to get is a Phase 5 processor card, where you can also install almost hundreds of megabytes of RAM on there. I believe it will come with 128. And that is a lot also for this machine. And well, so far as I know, that's just chip RAM, and that is pretty insane on this machine. In total, this machine will go up to, so far as I know, 16 megabytes just by expanding TPC type similar RAM on here, which just clips onto these RAM sockets. So, well, yeah. Now, one thing that I don't like about this machine is, well, the placement of the expansion slots and also the SOR ports. For example, hold on a second. Currently, I just have this, yeah, hard disk SCSI adapter for the Amiga 2000, where some chips are missing, so it's not working. But this would work in the Amiga 4000, but there is one issue. If I insert that on the lowest position, it will collide with the RAM. And that for me is really a problem, because, well, look at the back. We have pins standing out. And look at the chips. We have contacts. So that means that if I don't put anything between that, so like a small ESD safe piece of plastic or something like that, this could short something out on there, and that is a pretty big issue. So yeah, the lowest port could probably not be used for really big expansion cards, especially not for the back one. Of course, the lowest one so far, where, as I know, where the graphics card or so would go. Because look here, we have got different expansion parts on there. Now on the front we have a DVD IDE drive. Originally the Amiga came with a different one, but I got a free PC, which is standing over there. Which is working, but yeah, I want to install Windows 98 on that, and well, it doesn't want to work. So yeah, also I'm going to replace that one because I found an even older computer with a Pentium 2 processor that just gets put into a slot in the motherboard, which I find pretty cool. And well, the PC had this IDE drive, which is a slot loading drive, which means if I power this thing up, of course the Amiga 4000 works just fine. Only one thing, the fan in the power supply is incredibly loud. Now, first of all, you're not going to be able to play DVDs or so on that. This machine does not have the requiring processing power, even not with the expansions. But I just want to show you this. And the ejecting. I'm pretty sure this is the only Amiga which I have ever seen that has got a slot loading CD drive on the front. And that I thought is pretty cool. So the whole thing just takes about 3 or 4 seconds to boot. Of course, the compact flash is similar to an SSD, and that's also why it's so fast. Again, the fan, the power supply, I'll probably replace that one with a completely silent one, or one that has got temperature controls, meaning that if something gets warm, the fan will spin faster, and if it's getting colder, the fan will spin slower. Well, since the Amiga 4000 doesn't get really hot. So far, this is the only chip that gets a little bit warm, and well, I probably will install some heat sinks on those, just, well, to make the temperature in this thing lower and the cooling a little bit better, so that, yeah, everything will last a bit longer. It's always better for electrical components to be cooled down. So, currently I only have one working demo on here. The only game I have is Tetris. The other demos which I have here, the Andromeda DOS demo, and from Razer 1911, the Voyage demo, which I think are very, very cool demos. Turns out they don't like the Amiga 4000 hardware and will make the whole computer crash if I try to power them up. Sorry, I said 7 megabytes, I meant 8 when I was talking about the RAM that I have installed here. 2 megabytes of chip RAM and 8 megabytes of other RAM. And, well, the currently working demo which I have is from Dajormas, and it's called the Major Release demo. Which works just fine. So there you see, this is working just fine. Actually, this is an Amiga 500 demo, but, well, the Amiga 500, which I'm still working on, at least this is assembled on here, and I had no time to test that. And I couldn't find the ADF demo for ADF file from its demo, so I installed it. Here the LHA file, and that worked just fine. Also one thing, the CD drive here, or DVD drive, is not plugged in. Well, it is plugged into power, but not to the ID port. And that is because I still don't have the small program called IDE Fix installed. I had it installed, but, well, the Amiga then wouldn't boot up anymore. And would just show me the insert, the workbench disk screen, or nothing. So, yeah. Getting this thing to work on the Amiga 4000 is quite a challenge. IDE Fix was installed on the original hard drive that came with it, and as you can see it still has the original hard drive caddy, that's how I will call it right now. Of course I'm going to make one for the compact flash adapter, but the problem is, well, my 3D printer decided not to print correctly, and that is what I tried to do. Something is wrong with the filament I'm using. Seems it's not that clean and it's just clogging up the nozzle the whole time. Although I have already replaced the nozzle, this is the old one. And here are some new ones. So it's just the filament I'm using. But anyway, thanks for watching, and goodbye.